when I realized that it was a thing to like battle and like make fun of somebody or like just like make it comedic or make it like punchy, you know? We didn't know what we were doing, you know? We were just living the dream, I guess.
Wonder why your face hit the concrete. I be discreet when I move. I'm a creep on you fools in your house and steal all your jewels. I'm rolling, everybody wanna see if we can bring it, cause I leave you screaming like Aretha Franklin singing. So listen to me once.
I always loved rap music, like since I was little. Like when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I was listening to like Snoop Dogg and Warren G, NWA, like all that old school West Coast stuff. I was really into it as a kid, and my parents kind of allowed it, you know what I mean? Like, it was cool.
When his guys start liking rap, I can hear him downstairs, you know, and having a shower, you know? So I said, well, evolution.
Yeah, and we were allowed. That's the beauty of it. Is like we were allowed to listen to it, and I like that because these guys knew that it was crap we were listening to. You know what I mean? Like, even though you guys were learning English, you guys knew what they were saying. You knew all the mother and the and the and all that stuff.
I didn't know.
Like that was my worry
until I started writing it. Until I started writing it. Once I started freestyling, that was when I realized that like I was good at it. You know what I mean? Like anybody else could like rap a Tupac song or like, you know what I mean? Like, which is what I did. Like I pretended that other people's raps were my own and like, you know, did that. And that was easy. I thought it was easy. You know, I was like, well, anybody could do that. But like making it up on the spot when you're talking face to face with somebody, it was almost like a way to express that I had no fear of the thing that made me scared the most, which was looking like a fool. You know what I mean? Like looking like an idiot while I was doing something I love doing. Right. But you were like face to face with somebody, so it was like you were face to face with not your opponent, but with yourself. You know what I mean? Like your fear of looking stupid, and that person making you look stupid, right? So like, it was a good outlet, man. It was a good way for me to like, you know, not have to be aggressive. And I could just like rap at people instead of fighting or instead of yelling or instead of, you know what I mean?
Alcohol abuse, all they forgot about was the music, go.
Yeah. Make some noise, can it dance? They call me El Rev. Good. Yeah, I never relapse, I relax, I lean back, I need that. My kneecaps if he can't be eased unless I believe that. Precious or no less of me will never get to believe that. I'll reach that. Pinnacle feeling the minimal level of respect, but he's bent on getting it all. Better be ready for it. He's a venomous, never been spread, never been said, never been read. Get in his head just for a minute. You can end up, better beware. If you stepping into his land, don't be scared, better prepare.
I practiced lots, which we did. We practiced every single day. And I always like to tell people, which is something that I believe to a degree, but like as I'm getting older, I realize that it's maybe not entirely true, is that like, you know, when you practice something every day, you'll inevitably get good at it, which is true to a degree, but like I was exceptional at freestyling. You know what I mean? Like ever since day one, like when I first started, I had a natural knack for it.
Time. Second round, L-Rev. Broken up. I bet you're getting worried, ain't you? I'll burn this perpetrator worse than paper. The virgin slayer will murk your neighbors like the Terminator. Murder impersonators, word, I'ma hurt this faker. Turn his blood to purple paste with a homemade circulator. They call the nurse's aid to earn some pay and search your brain to find the reason why your verse is fake, like the 1st of April. My words reverberate, immaculate, the earth will shake. I'll cut this nerd like cheese on ubiquitous insurgent's table. Yo, the perfect stranger emerging.
So when I would freestyle in circles, and like Ronnie, when it comes from a guy like Ronnie to like praise my freestyle, and he was the one who taught me how to freestyle. He was one who taught me how like you know, to kind of like make stuff up as you go and just like look around, you know what I mean? Like use the signs, use the shoes, use the clouds, whatever it is, you just rhyme with whatever's around you. And he was always so good at it that like I was always competing with him. So that was part of also the formula that made me a good freestyler, right? Like, so like there was that hard work, which I think is if not the most important part of it, but is a really important part of getting good at anything. But there was natural talent there, and there was also natural competition.
I share this with my brother Hobbs. The rest is literally history. We go back, you know, where should we begin? You know, St. Francis Junior High School. I guess we should just go right from the start, you know. Yeah, man, me and Hobbs, it's funny, like, we really grew up in the, like, kind of like not the golden era of hip hop, but like another, you know, the early 2000s era of hip hop. And we both just love rap. And Javi, you know, I remember I moved here from Vancouver, and so I kind of had that, like, you know, I was really, really immersed in urban culture. And I always think of like the West Coast kind of being like 1 or 2 years ahead, you know, culture, trends and things like that. And so like when I came to Lethbridge, it was like, I was like one of the very first people that, you know, like dressed in any type of hip hop clothes. And I remember like, I remember meeting Hobbs and just like instantly clicking with him. And he was more of like a skater guy back then. And, you know, we just would rap, we freestyle. It was all about, I remember back in the early days, we would, you know, we'd go to the overpass over there. It's kind of a pretty rough area now, but we would literally stand on each side of the tracks. Like, so he'd stand on the south side of the tracks, I stand on the north side of the tracks, and we just battle each other. And it's crazy because we became such close friends, but we would literally just rip each other apart through the art of a battle rap, right? And back then it was all about off the cuff.
Go ahead, let's rock that.
And yo, Harvey thinks he's hard. His hard life living on Fairview Boulevard. In his rich house with his dad and his nice car. Representing his yo, I know I fight hard. Yeah, and yo, you try to make fun of me. But you bought a call from a broke car company. And this is how it goes. Hey yo, I flow. I'm gonna battle my friend and make him my foe. Hey, yeah.
I wasn't competing with dudes that were whack. Ronnie was an awesome freestyler, always has been. And so when I was competing with him, I would have to be dope. You know what I mean? Like, we'd have to be dope. And that's the thing, man, is we got so dope that we started pushing other people's game up. You know what I mean? Like people said, I used to roast them. And if they got roasted multiple times, then they had to get better or they wouldn't come back. You know what I'm saying? And like dudes would come back, and they would come back lots. And you know what? They would get roasted and roasted and roasted. But it's like anything, man. If you commit yourself to it, you have competition where they are making you get better in whatever way it may be, because that's not how I get better at stuff, by being beaten constantly. But some people are like that. A lot of people are like that. And so that's what it was, man. Like we had to be on our toes. And another big part of freestyling was that where we're from. We're from Lethbridge, so it was like when we'd go places out in Lethbridge, or even like to Calgary or Edmonton or whatever, we would tell people like, yo, we're from Lethbridge, Alberta, like, you know, 80,000 people, like little hick town south of Calgary nobody's really heard of, and we're rappers, and we're like dressed to the nine, right? Like this is 2009, you know what I mean? When we're 2006 to 2009, we're wearing baggy ass jeans, sagging down to our knees, you know what I mean? Like white tees that are also down to our knees, you know what I'm saying? Like that chingy style, you know? We loved that. So that's how we walked around all the time. That was us. It wasn't like when we'd go out, that's who we were. That was like, hip hop was us. We were rap music. Like we lived it, breathed it, talked it, did everything we could to intertwine ourselves with it. And then people would be like, we'll prove it. You say you're a rapper and you're from Lethbridge, you know what I'm saying? Like, show me some bars, show me something. And so it was never one of those things where we'd be like, okay, just hold on throw on a beat and let me spit a good 16. It's like, no, man, it's just like, get a clap going, you know what I mean? I could rap to a head bob, you know what I'm saying? Like people be in the circle and stuff, and it's just like, a kick a flow, rip it go, did it irresistible, sick it then, all these other people that could rip it, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's a constant cadence and tempo, and it's like that's what we had to do, because it was like, if you don't do that and if you look whack, then everything I thought preconceived before you started rapping is absolutely true. Right. It's like, oh, of course they're gonna be terrible. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like when we weren't terrible, it was like this big deal. It was like, oh my God, these kids are actually good rappers. Like they can actually kick raps. It's pretty cool.
Even understand, I don't even know. This millimeters in my hand, heater and it's chrome 9 millimeters long. Lose a leader and you're gone, ghost. Use your leisure, leave you with a seizure in the hands of the wrong host. Drink a strong bowl with a bong toke. But we can take everything you have. If you thought I was good, then you didn't know I was a bad man. Put you to sleep like the Sandman. This is hip-hop up in the Badlands. Vigilante like Batman with a half-gram at a crack stand. Call of Duty in his last stand. I'm on.
Stuff that we used to draw around town, that we were on, me and Ronnie were on Crime Stoppers, because we used to do this graffiti all over the place. Everywhere. Straight up, man. They put Crime Stoppers of like 2 Crime Stoppers announcements were about the bullets that people keep on drawing all over the place.
Oh, word? They were like, can we stop the bullets, guys? Can we find them?
Yeah,
oh,
they were trying to find us.
dude.
And like, look, this is where El Rev came from. El Revolucionario.
Wow.
So like the revolutionary. El Rev came from El Revolucionario, so it was just like the revolutionary in Spanish. I stuck with that one for the longest because it picked up and I liked it. I still like it. It's a dope name. Before that, it was just kind of like, oh, I had this name, Hidden Flow. And so I called myself that because I was like a skateboarder, but I also rapped. So like people would like, they didn't assume that I rap because I had like spiked bracelets and like skulls on my shirt and shit, you know what I mean? And then I just started rapping. And yeah, I was good, so they were like, oh, cool.
I knew Hobbs back when he went by the name Hidden Flow, you know, and I think that's a really a fitting name for Hobbs, because back then he had that hidden flow, you know, and he evolved into El Rev, and we had our first performance at St. Francis. We created our first group there. It was before City Prophets. We were Flowvolution, which was like the evolution of flow, and we went and we. I just remember it was wild. Like back then, everybody was just getting kind of introduced to hip hop and kind of like live rap, and we were really kind of like some of the first in Lethbridge to kind of the space, right? And so I just remember, like, it just get crazy. Like we had a performance, and it would just, you know, we had like students in the crowd with our names up, and it was wild. And even sometimes we would battle. And like, you know, it'd get people, the word would get out, right? At CCH when we were in high school together now. And it would be like, oh, Ronnie and Javier are battling. They're battling over by the cafeteria. And the people would go nuts. Like, we're talking the whole high school would just like flock to the cafeteria. And it didn't even make sense. Like, we're just rap battling, right? But it was wild. And like, you know, back then the insults were like, oh yeah, look at your shoes, man, they're stained, look at the stains. Like, you know, they weren't like the most, like, it wasn't our best work, you know, but it was wild. Like, it was just wild how people responded. And, you know, that's one thing about Javi, like he has that spark, you know, and that was something that I think drew people to us and what we were doing, and it led to an opportunity. What really started to kind of catapult our local, you know, hip-hop careers. We started City Prophets. We kind of rebranded out of the Flowvolution. But before we went from Flowvolution and we became a group called Under the Influence for a little bit. But the acronym was UTI. So we didn't understand what that was in high school, right? But then as soon as we realized once we were trying to create a MySpace and things like that, you know, this whole UTI thing ain't gonna work. And so that's when we became City Prophets. And we got our first real opportunity with Harmon B and Urban Metropolis. They were bringing the game down to Lethbridge, and this was like the first big hip-hop act really to ever come to Lethbridge. And man, we grinded. So how we got our early reputation was that we we had literally handed Harmon B from Urban Metropolis $25,000 because we sold so many tickets. And, we like sold out that show. And that's where things started to pick up for us. So we opened up for the game. Show was crazy. And after that show, that really kind of put City Profits in the radar of, legitimate businesses around the community. They were like, look, these guys just handed that guy 25 grand. And, through the work of DJ Buddha, our good friend and promoter at the time, Buddha, without him, like, he paved the way. It was Buddha, it was us, it was Javi. We were just all working together to, contribute to a flourishing hip hop scene. And yeah, like I say, the rest is history. Like, it was, I look back at those moments still in my life, and I'm just like, I'm humbled. I'm humbled to be able to share the stage with Hobbs and be able to experience that with him.
Championship of all championships in Lethbridge, freestyle battles. Let's go and rock this funky joint.
Yo, what's up, Lethbridge?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you, dog, you ain't hard. You a f***ing punk and you might as well just have out the rape charge. I'm coming straight up, cause you know you ain't hard.
03. Duke.
Wow.
He passed away in 2002? I was like the first close friend we had that died. He was just a kid. Yeah, he died of cancer. He was our weed dealer. He sold weed to all the kids. Ronnie here, Urban Shakespeare.
Oh, snap. Bro, this has got history on it.
08.
Real ass history.
My favorite one.
When one man dies, all of humanity bleeds.
Wow.
I mean, I've copied
That's dope, son.
some type of famous person.
It's mine now.
That's mine now. CPE, City Profit Entertainment.
Jeez.
As kids, our biggest thing was just performing in front of people. We never thought of the internet as a tool like it is now. You know what I mean? Like, when we were in school, the internet was nothing compared to what it is now, right? So it's like, we were all about the physical reality of hip-hop, the ciphers, the circles, the studio sessions, in person, in a place that has, soundproof walls and da-da-da-da. Like, we wanted that element of rap, you know what I mean, of music, of professionalism, of whatever it was. It was just like we were there. We tried to be there, like on the ground, stomping our feet all the time. So I wouldn't say it was like harder. I would just say that, like, if I could give myself advice back then, it would be to keep the momentum going after you do a big opening act for like a Tech Nine or an exhibit or whatever a big act was back then, and use that momentum to build your value in a way that you can say, hey, look, like, I'm consistently doing bigger shows, so I'm consistently getting paid more. And it's like, we didn't really think about that because all we wanted to do was just get to the next show. We wanted to get out of town. We wanted to go on tour. We wanted to, get an album recorded, make music videos and all these things. And we were never really focused on, like, making it a viable thing. You know what I mean? Like, we were kids, man. Like, 19, 20 years old. Brain's not even fully developed. You know what I mean? Like, so we're running around just being rappers. And, yeah, I think it wasn't so much harder, but it was just like, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just living the dream, I guess.
Let the music take my soul to a different place. So I sit and wait, and I think one day I'll change the globe. If words are so powerful, why does it seem impossible to make them known? My soul's way too cold, I was raised to know. Anytime I could take control of my destiny, but the rest of me's just aching bones. Feel like I'm 80 years old, my body's disintegrating slow.
My process has changed over the years, but, like, for the most part, it's like, I get a beat or numerous beats, and then I'll listen to them, and I'll find one that I'm vibing with. Then I usually, like, break my my songs up. So like what I'll do is I'll like start writing to one beat, get tired of it, move to another one, start writing to that one, get tired of it, move back, and then go back and forth between a couple, you know what I mean? But it's usually like, I used to be able to like sit down and just write a song. Just like boom, 15 minutes, you know, done. But if I would have taken an extra like half an hour on some of those songs, you know what I'm saying? They might be somewhere. So now what I'm trying to do is like focus less on like working fast. I always prided myself on like working fast, you know, like go in the studio, lace up. I can do 2 tracks in an hour, you know what I mean? Spending $180 on this studio time, you know what I mean? I need to make sure I get 4 tracks done, otherwise money's wasted. It's like, which is a good outlook to have, and it's like we did get a lot of stuff done, but it's like now I just like focus on the writing. I work with producers that I know that don't charge me for hourly studio rates. You know, they charge me per song. You know, they don't charge me like, you know, whatever, how much an hour for editing and engineering and mixing and mastering. It's like my homie does it. He does it for a flat rate, same charge per song. Sometimes he'll charge me an extra $20-$30 if it's like, if we both agree. And usually if he brings it up to me like, hey dude, I had to remaster this beat and like da-da-da-da, I'm gonna charge you a little extra. It's like, yeah, word, that's totally cool.
Down is a game I'll never play. Straight up, it's the same grind, getting paid. Still broke, get to take mine anyway. City is breathing, it's literally screaming, been wishing and pleading like give me some meaning. I'm sick of just dreaming the similar feelings inside of my soul.
I know exactly what type of beat Javi raps on, you know what I mean? Like I've listened to his stuff ever since I was younger, you know what I mean? When I was like 13 years old and I was sitting there writing some of my first rhymes and I didn't really know what to do, you know? I was like, I was almost gonna give up, and then I started kind of going online and people were telling me about these guys in Lethbridge called City Prophets. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna check them out. And then I wasn't really too sure because, you know, from the rappers that I heard around Lethbridge, it was kind of like, you know, it wasn't really the best. But then I seen them and I was like, this is from Lethbridge kind of thing. I was like, that's pretty intimidating, you know what I mean? And then it kind of made me more like driven to kind of get better and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I never actually met them until I was like 16 or whatever, but I've heard of them before that. You know what I mean? And then it was just like kind of at one point when I was like at a party or something like that, I think they kind of came in and then we went to the basement and we were all like freestyling, and it's like my first time freestyling. Like he pretty much taught me everything like there is to freestyling, and then he's like, yo, you gotta start battling and this and that, and like, you know, I'm gonna start putting you up against my friends and whatever. I was like, what? And he was just like, you know, so like he's just putting me in there against some of his homies that are just already doing this, and you know, they're just killing me at first and stuff, but you know, eventually I started to get better, and then he started hosting these battlegrounds here in Lethbridge, and then we just go there. We kind of, whoever was the MCs that were there for the night would have their names in the hat. You know, you draw them out, and then, you know, we go up there and start battling. And like the very first one, me and Javi, we were just like killing all our opponents. And then we got to the end, and then it was supposed to be this real crazy thing, but like he was just so good that I was like, what am I supposed to say to this guy? All of a sudden, I'm dissing all these people for being whack, and then you battle this genius freestyle battler who's just like, you know. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to say bad about this guy. If anything, I have nothing but good shit to say about this guy. I was like, fuck.
We diverged early on. Like he went on to do the producing, and I make visual stuff. You know, I do stuff you could see. Like I make the merch. I do like animations and videos and make AMVs and just I do the more visual stuff that you can see and stuff like that.
You're also working on an animation for one of his.
Yeah, I'm animating Javi's music video, doing the animations for Midnight Gospel.
Jet fuel in my cup on a plane that I love. No airline tickets, no claims, no rush. Just love, mindfulness of this moment, yeah. Shine a bitch and get going, yeah. Say she love me, quit trolling, yeah. Trying to click, I'm Rick rolling. Curly hair.
It's a lot more individualistic than I'd like it to be. I really want to have like more input with songs, which is why a lot of times like I'll ask Danica with help on vocals and help on stuff, and like you know, like I've even gotten Jerry to write hooks for me and write choruses or like write lyrics on, like he's written lyrics for me that I rapped on his songs, you know what I mean?
So I actually met Javi through Jerry. So I was Jerry's neighbor, and I met Javi and Jerry shortly after I moved into that house, and they were just about to leave for Europe. So that was the first time I met them. And then ever since then I've just like followed them musically, and we've been together for like a year now. I started writing music last year. Like I'd written one song before, and I was kind of always stuck as an artist, and I was always in other people's bands, singing on other people's music, never really writing my own stuff. And then last year I started writing. Shortly after that, I met Javi, and I'm pretty sure it was like 2 days after we started dating, I had my first radio show where I did my first live show of my original music. And so it's like we started dating, and then right away I started performing my own stuff, and was all of a sudden not super established, but like I felt way more established as an artist.
There's a girl in New York City who calls herself the human champion.
It's funny because he actually had really like strict boundaries when we started dating. And he was like, I don't collab with girlfriends. You're not going to be in my music videos. And he really didn't want that, because I think he was thinking kind of like when you record music and when you make art, it's forever. You know, you make that thing and it lasts forever, and it's timeless. And relationships aren't always like that. But fast forward like 3 months probably down the road, and he was going to record Neighbors, and it was the day of, and he was like, I'm pretty sure he was gonna like drop me off at home, or he was like just on his way to the studio, and he texted me, he's like, so do you want to come? And do you want to record on this track with me? And I was like, are you sure? Like, because you were very clear, and I was very okay with that, you know? But yeah, we went into the studio together, and it went really well, and like the release went really well, and we performed it a bunch of times, and it's just been like super fun, super like surreal to be performing with him, as well as like in the studio with him multiple times now. Like I've been on a couple more songs now, and been able to perform other tracks with him too, and just like throwing ad-libs and singing the chorus with him on stage, and yeah. I did record with True Apostles and Javi on a track called Sacred. So that was actually the first time we were in studio together, and because it was like, we were like adjacent, you know, it wasn't his project. Right. And so it was like, it was fine, you know, like Jerry had asked me, independent of Javi, if I wanted to be on the track, because I've known Jerry for years because we were neighbors, right?
Actual neighbors.
Yeah.
They think it's a blessing to simply address me as if I was sacred. I'll teach you a lesson for free. Everything's basic. Nothing's complex. It's all just a mess. The second you break it.
I ain't put in work for my whole life to have you walk on it. Soon as we talk money, half of these pissing uppers and start to talk funny. Y'all, buddy, what you want from me? Get off of me. I don't care what you got for me. It's all fun and games till you step over a line.
And so that was the first moment in studio, and it's nice because Javi is really good at letting you have your own creative process. He's not micromanaging, he's not trying to influence you in any way unless you ask him for advice. And I really respect and appreciate that about him, that he's just really laid back and like allows other people to have their process, you know.
We've all kind of diverged in different ways, and between me, Javi, and K-Dub, we're all better than each other in certain things. You know, like I'm good at writing a chorus, he's good at making the beat, Javi's good at making a verse and bringing it all together. We're good all together at the same time. Basically, we're at our best.
Like what I'll do with Jerry is I'll send Jerry beats that I'm working on, and I'll be like, here's a couple different concepts. Can you like maybe come up with a couple two-liners, a couple couplets? And you know, he'll hit me back. He'll be like, yo, man, here's something I was thinking. Like, he'll hit me back with like a 4-bar bridge, 4-bar chorus, whatever it is. And sometimes I'll use it, sometimes I won't. Like, you know what I mean? On Bandits, he wrote the chorus for that song. Like, I just sent it to him one day, and I was like, hey, can you write the chorus for this? Sends me a hook the next day, and it's like, thank you, you know? I want to do that more. Like, why not? You know, like, I'm surrounded by talented people. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta trip about my lifestyle. Cause right now, I might bounce. I've been doing good, but it's my night out. I recognize your face. Hey, girl, you fine as hell. Just come by my place. Yeah, you might as well.
I've been on 3 tours. 1 Western Canada, 1 across Canada. And the 2 Canadian tours were dope because, like, the first time we went on tour, I'm sure you heard about Buddha and stuff. Buddha put us on tour with Moka Only. And Moka Only is, like, a Canadian legend, like, when it comes to hip-hop. You know, he used to rock with Swollen Members back in the day. And we went on tour with him. We did, like, a few weeks, BC and Alberta. That was awesome. It was like, I feel like it's different from other tours because, like, we were really, like, intimate with Mokes. Like, we got to chill with him, like, very closely. We got to see his production process, his writing process. It was really, really enlightening and, like, really cool. And then the second tour was with Snak, and then Snak the Ripper from Surrey. And then the third one was our European tour.
Yeah, we toured Europe. Me and Javi, as the Psychonauts, we toured Europe together. I don't even know how many countries we went through. We performed all over that place, man. Like, literally 10 countries or something, 9 countries or something like that. I can't remember. Javi knows the name of, like, every city we went through. But me, I was like, we'd go through, like, several countries in a day. Like, that's how close up everything is in Europe. You'd be, like, busting through, and you'd be like, oh, we just passed through 2 countries. We're still not even at our destination. But it was a lot of fun, you know? We went through a ton of stuff together.
We went with, like, this merchants group. They took, like, 16 of us, Americans and Canadians, all to 6 different countries, 7 different countries. We performed in 6 different countries, but I think we visited, like, 7 or 8. But, yeah, that was dope. Like, that was an experience of a lifetime. And I'm so glad because I still have, like, lasting connections with people in, like, Paris and in Manchester.
I guess when we got to Rotterdam and it really started sinking in, like, we were me and Javi had flown for, like, we'd been flying for about 15 hours straight and just 0 sleep on the plane because it's just so uncomfortable. 0 sleep in the airports because it's just uncomfortable and bright everywhere. So we hadn't slept in probably like 20 plus hours before we landed in the UK and then bussed over to Rotterdam. And then we got out and hadn't slept, and the day starting off, and it just felt amazing. We were like, we're on, like, the other side of the world right now. It's surreal. It's like, if we're gonna do something, we gotta do it now, you know? And we made every moment count.
So it was just, like, really, like, welcoming, you know what I mean? It was really dope, and, like, we made connections with people there, and yeah, and still to this day, you got people who hit me up and they'll be like, hey, should I do this European tour with this group? And I'm just like, hell yeah, man, like, hell yeah. Like, it's gonna cost you money, you know what I mean? A lot of money, and it's gonna be something you'll never forget. You'll never ever forget that experience, whether it's good or it's bad. I always been Javier, you know what I mean? Like, now I'm representing myself in I think a more genuine way. It was something that I've wanted to do for a while, was to, like, kind of restart from scratch with kind of a different outlook. And I like it, man. Like, I noticed that it's different. Like, I have kind of this different perspective about, like, social media, and it changes my perspective about the music I'm making. So the rebrand was mostly so that I could, like, focus on me. You know what I mean? Like, Javier is me, right? Like I said, I've always been Javier, but now I'm just going by it as well, you know? And now I'm just standing by it with my music and with my art. So I wanted to be able to make something that was, like, more me. So I changed the name and you know, like, it's genuine, and it's yeah. These last few years, I've made so much progress when it comes to like my life outside of rap music, and I'm just happy about it. You know what I mean? Like, I got a house. I'm taking care of my daughter. I'm just like, you know, finally kind of finding my stride. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I got to stay home for 2 years and just like kick it with my daughter. And like, that was a big part of self-discovery too, man. Like, you don't realize when you have a little mini-me running around, everything they do is a reflection of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I tell my daughter to stop doing something, like, you can't do that. Don't throw things. You know, I get up and I toss my towel, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just toss stuff around, and I realize, like, my kid is throwing things because I throw things. So, like, you have those moments where you're like, oh, like, that happens. That's me. That's, you're me. So that was a big part of it too, man. Staying at home, learning about myself.
It's how do you become successful in this career and maintain a healthy balance, right? And I think, you know, for Javi, you know, I speak for myself too, right? So it's, you know, these are the challenges we've gone through in music, and, you know, in a lot of ways we face them together, and it's just about, at the end of the day, just being yourself, you know? And so sometimes rap can change that. And there's no other person like you. There's no other person like El Rev. You know, there's no other person like Javier, you know? And so that, yeah, to see how he's grown, now I really see, you know, Javier growing into who he is. And him accepting, you know, he's a light to the world. He's a lot to offer.
He is very aware of how he presents to the world around him and how he affects the world around him, and what he says, how that's going to affect the world and the people around him, which is a really nice quality to have in a person and a friend and a collaborator and a creator.
Javi's such a professional in studio as well, and so to feel like his like colleague in art, you know, is like, I just feel, yeah, like really blessed to be able to work with him, and performing too. I've learned a lot about performance from him.
He's a freedom fighter. You know, he's fighting the good fight, you know, and he's real. That's a real man. You know, that's somebody who knows who he is, and you know, takes up that challenge and you know, shows the world all sides of who he is, and that's a great strength.
I just wanted to be more honest with myself and be like, yo, I want to make music that I love and that I want to listen to, and I'm not worried about what other people want. You know what I mean? Like, to a degree, like, I want to do good. I want to like be a positive role model for people, and like, you know, make people think positively. But also, it's like, that's mostly just self-gratifying. You know what I mean? That's mostly just for me to be like, hey, I feel good about myself because I'm helping people with my music. So.
Still good though.
Yeah, I mean, the motives are wrong, but they're still doing good, I guess. So.
What if we flip it? What would you hope the audience can take from you when they listen to any one of your songs?
That I'm like really fundamentally trying to know myself and like explain things about myself to other people and in turn to myself, and like that self-discovery and like progression can be really difficult and can be very you know, bumpy, but it's always really illuminating at the end of the day to like discover things about yourself and like to really figure it out and be like, oh damn, like this is why this has been this way for this whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like this is why I have done things the way I've done them. And you kind of find this like almost like an explanation. And it's like, I don't know, it just brings light to you. And then you're able to like navigate life better, navigate the world better, interact with people better because you know yourself. You know, like, hey, if I'm in a certain situation, I'm gonna get overwhelmed. Hey, if I'm in a certain situation, I'm gonna get emotional. Hey, I know what my triggers are, so, you know, just maybe don't talk about this kind of stuff around me because it is a bit of a trigger right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you know yourself better, you can avoid those kinds of conflicts with yourself and with other people. And also you can like make yourself happy. You know, if you know yourself, you can make yourself happy. All I want is for people to check out my music. So it's like, if you like it, cool. If you don't, equally cool. I'm not worried. You know what I mean? I like it. I listen to it in my car all the time. And as like, I never was like that. I've been making music for 15 years, and finally I'm making music that I like love listening to. You know, so.
Look, walking in circles, awkward and nerdy. I'm probably not gonna talk to you first. I'm just minding my business, so try not to worry. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm in a hurry, but all of these people are making me anxious. It's funny the way this shit changes. Yes, it is funny the way this shit changes. Most of them staying the same. Say, how could you change? You got a new name. I'm thankful I found it. Your microaggressions are no longer.